About a week ago, Jen and I were driving home from spending a Sunday afternoon, hanging out with family. And as we typically do on Sundays, we started discussing our schedule for the next week. As we began talking, I reminded Jen that on Monday and Tuesday night, I would probably be working most of the evenings because I had a big project that I had to complete. Now, as I was sharing this, she immediately showed some signs of disappointment and shared how we were going to have a busy week. Later in the week, we had a lot of stuff going on in the evening, and that she was just a little bit disappointed that we weren't going to get the opportunity to spend time with each other very much during the week. Now, when I saw that disappointment and heard what she said, I became frustrated. The reason why is because a few days before that, I had specifically communicated with her that I would have to work on Monday and Tuesday. And therefore, I was a little bit frustrated because I was trying to be proactive, and apparently it didn't work. What was our issue? Miscommunication. Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, says that 90% of all problems in management are caused by miscommunication. If you want to have less drama in your life, then you need to learn to communicate. So over the next few sessions, we're going to talk about effective communication, and we're going to talk about 4 keys to effective communication: expectations, praise, feedback, and customization. So today, let's talk about expectations. I had a friend and a mentor who constantly told me that frustration and disappointment come from unmet expectations. Let's go back to that story I told you about Jen and I. We were frustrated because of expectations. But here's the deal. I was the one at fault. Remember how I told you that a few days before we're having this conversation that I had specifically communicated with her? Well, you see, I thought I had communicated in my mind, but I actually didn't. During that conversation, I told her that I might have to work Monday or Tuesday. And now, on that Sunday, I said Monday and Tuesday. Or and are very different. It was my fault for the miscommunication. I did not do a good job with my expectations. If you were to look back at the miscommunications that you have had, whether it's with your spouse, a friend, a child, a coworker, I bet you could trace a high percentage of those miscommunications back to a lack of clear expectations. So how do we mitigate miscommunication through expectation? There are 3 C's that you need to think about. First one, clarity. You need to be specific and clear with what you're wanting to communicate. Do not assume at all. So if you're at work, don't tell somebody, can you get me this project soon? Give them a deadline. Or better yet, have them set a firm deadline. At home, don't tell your children, hey, will you clean your room by the end of this week? Tell them, will you clean your room by Saturday at 10 a.m. because we have company coming over. You need to fight against ambiguity in your communication. The second C, caution. You need to be cautious of subconscious or unspoken expectations. You see, there are too many times where we have expectations that we place on other people, but the problem is we've never, ever communicated those expectations with them. And then when they don't live up to it, we're the ones getting frustrated. It is not fair to them. If you find yourself starting to get frustrated with somebody else, I want you to take a step back and I want you to think through, did I communicate this clearly with them? More times than not, we didn't. The final C, critical. You need to be more critical of yourself and more gracious with the other person. You see, too many times we reverse it. We're more critical with the other person and we're way too gracious with ourselves. Don't let yourself off the hook. You need to look inside and go, what is my fault in this miscommunication? And even if you're only 1% in the wrong, apologize for it. Now, please do not tell your spouse, hey, honey, I apologize for being 1% wrong. Do not do that. I guarantee you it will not go well. But you do need to apologize. So here's today's game plan. I want you to think back to the last miscommunication you had. Was it with your spouse, a child, a friend, or a coworker? What was the root cause of that communication or that miscommunication? It was probably unmet expectations. I want you to learn from it. And I want you to think, what could I have done better in that situation? Let me leave you with our tweetable lesson. Frustration and disappointment come from unmet expectations.